Hello and welcome everybody to today's Wednesday webinar offered by the Finance Authority of Maine. My name is Jessica Whittier. Today I am joined for this webinar called Become a Scholarship or Becoming a Scholarship Insider. I am joined by Jackie Shannon, who is the Scholarship Director at Maine Community Foundation. I am also joined. Oh,
I'm actually not the director.
Ooh,
Liz Fickett is the director. That's okay. I'm the scholarship manager.
All right, I will change that in the future. All right. I gave you a promotion. It comes with a small.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, you are welcome. And also Vincent Klowowski, whose name I practiced over and over again. And I still got it wrong. Kloskowski. Yeah. I got it. All right. Who is the executive director at Oxford Hills Community Education Exchange. He also does college career and extended learning opportunities for students in that district as well. Excellent. So we are going to talk today about scholarships. So I know this is a topic we cover at FAME every year. We are always trying to get information out there to students and families and those who help students and families through this process. So that's what we're hoping to do today, is to not only talk a little bit about some of the programs out there, but pick the brains of our experts on what are some things that students, as well as those people supporting students, can do to help students along this process. So we know that when I talk to a student about scholarships, there are just so many of them out there, so many scholarships that students can qualify for. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work, or maybe a lot of work, to really put in a really great scholarship search and application process. And so it can feel a little overwhelming to students and what that process looks like. So hopefully today, talking to Vincent and Jackie, we will get a better idea of some things that you guys can do to help your students have a more successful scholarship process. So we're going to do a couple of things today. We are going to first meet our insiders. So we're going to talk a little bit about Maine Community Foundation and their scholarship programs, as well as the Oxford Hills Community Education Exchange, which, and I'm sure Vincent will talk about it, has one of the largest scholarship programs, for a school district in the state of Maine. So that is a fantastic program. So we'll learn a little bit more about how they got to be where they are today. Then I'm going to spend a little bit of time picking the brains of our experts and getting them to answer some of those questions. And then I would really love for you, our audience today, to ask some questions. So feel free to use the question and answer function or the chat function to let us know what your questions are, and I'll make sure we ask those at the end. All right, folks, are we ready to get started? Okay, so we're going to start with Jackie. Oh, and then she did put her correct title in for me, so that is wonderful. All right, so just let me know when you want me to move you along, Jackie.
Sure. So as Jessica said, I'm Jackie Shannon. I manage the scholarship program at the Maine Community Foundation. And as I also said, is Liz Fickett, who many of you probably know, is the director of grants and scholarships. Go ahead. So the Maine Community Foundation has been around for quite a while. It's for our 40th year anniversary this year. We have our headquarters in Ellsworth. We also have offices in Portland, Dover, Foxcroft, Mars Hill, just kind of satellite spots. And most people really know us as an organization that helps to support nonprofits. But we also have a giant scholarship program. And that's lesser known when people think about the Maine Community Foundation. Next slide. So our scholarship program, we give away about $4 million every year in scholarships. Since the beginning of our scholarship program, we've given away almost $70 million to students in the state of Maine. So even though we're kind of lesser known, it really is a great opportunity for students to look at. We do have over 700 scholarship funds And a lot of them are specific to geographical areas or to high schools, but we do have quite a few that are nation or statewide that anybody who lives in the state of Maine would be eligible for. We don't, we support all students regardless of race, age, ancestry, national origin, all of those things that I listed, sexual orientation, gender, physical or mental disability, religion. And we do not require citizenship. So we don't ask about immigration status, and we don't require a FAFSA if you don't have the access to a FAFSA. So if you are not filling out a FAFSA, that's fine for any reason. We don't ask for it. Go ahead. Okay, so we have quite a few different kinds of scholarships. Just some like quick background. A straight scholarship is just set up to benefit whoever a donor or an organization decides that they want to benefit. So it could be, you know, students in Aroostook County, students in Penobscot County. And typically a donor decides kind of what is important to them and means something to them, that they'll set it up that way. For us to administer that scholarship for them, it has to be at least $250,000 of a complete fund. And then we'll do all the work. We'll get all the applications. We will set up a committee. We will go through eligibility, talk to the students, and then we decided at a committee meeting on who will be awarded that scholarship. And then we pay it to the school on behalf of the student. An agency scholarship is set up by a school, typically by a school, sometimes by an organization, that we send them money every year. They take care of the application process. They take care of the awarding of the student and the notification of the student, and then they pay the student. So all we really do is hold that money for them. And that's pretty much the same way a designated scholarship works. We hold that money, and then the donor designates a beneficiary that we would send that money to. So it's typically a high school. The donor sets it up, and the beneficiary takes care of everything. The application process, the payment to the student. So those ones, the minimum amount to set up a scholarship is $10,000. The admin stuff on our side is much less. Go ahead. I might be almost done, actually. So eligibility really varies widely. A lot of them have to do with a high school. So if it benefits a high school, typically the student would have had to go to that high school. But it also can vary by major. So we have a really large journalism scholarship. We have a really large healthcare scholarship, which is huge. And we have kind of ones that depend on really what your interests are. So we've got veterinary. We just started an engineering scholarship. And we've gotten probably the biggest influx of students to that we've seen for a brand new scholarship. Lots of families set up memorial scholarships for their family members who have passed away. That typically depends on what that family member was interested in. So it's a way to honor that person. And then our last kind of biggie is adult learners. And I think that a lot of people know about our adult learner program. I would say it's probably the most well-known of our scholarship program, but I really want people to know that we have lots of other scholarships that also benefit adult learners that are not the adult learner program. So for the adult learner program, you only have to meet one of the eligibility criteria. So those are be over the age of 25, have a dependent other than a spouse. So an 18-year-old who has a baby is eligible, or be working full-time, 30 hours a week. So if you are working your way through school, but you're 17, 18, 19, you qualify as an adult learner. And then it's be classified as independent. Like your parents wouldn't claim you as a dependent on their taxes. You only have to meet one of those. You don't have to meet all of the eligibility. Just one will make you eligible as an adult learner. Okay, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
And that's it. If you have any questions, if you're wondering about eligibility, if you're wondering what you might be have access to, you can contact me. Again, I'm Jackie. My colleague here in the scholarship department is Brittany. Either one of us can answer your questions.
Yeah, and I will say, I do think that Maine Community Foundation's website is a fantastic resource. So great information there. So I'm always,
Yeah.
looking up, specific scholarships and programs and their eligibility criteria. So that's great. The one thing that you said that I just wanted to follow up on, Jackie, was that students could apply for scholarships regardless of immigration status. Would that include students who might be here on a student visa?
Yep. Yep. As long as they're like living in the state of Maine and planning. So like the Langlois scholarship, which is a healthcare scholarship, requires any student from outside the state of Maine to be attending school in the state of Maine.
Okay.
So as long as they would be attending, any of the schools in the state of Maine, they would be eligible. Yeah. The other thing, when you mentioned our website, I always encourage people, there's all those links that are like separated by by county, right? Aroostook County, Androscoggin. Always search not just the county you live in now, but search the county you're from and search the statewide and search the county that you graduated high school from. So there are scholarships, like for example, the Sally Stetson Tongren Scholarship for Aroostook County and for Washington County. There's 2 of them. You can be living anywhere in the state of Maine, but if you graduated from a high school in Washington County or Aroostook County, you're eligible. So you could be living, it could be 10 years ago, you graduated from high school in Aroostook County and now you're living in Cumberland County. You're still eligible for that scholarship. So really click on all of those links to see what you're eligible for.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of times students don't think about that. They think I qualify for them senior year and then I might not ever again. But if you happen to be, let's say, a graduate of Fort Kent Community High School in 1996, you might
yes, you
still
would
qualify for some
definitely be eligible.
scholarships. All right, excellent, wonderful, awesome. Thank you. I don't have any other questions for you right now, but I'm sure we will, folks. Again, feel free to put any questions in chat or our Q&A section if you have more questions for Jackie as we wrap up this presentation. All right. So now let's talk to Dr. Vincent Kluskowski. Did I do that right?
Yes.
Yay!
Excellent job, Jess. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As just mentioned, my name is Vince Kluskowski, and I serve as the Executive Director and Coordinator of College, Career, and Extended Learning Opportunities here in MSAD 17, and for the Oxford Hills Community Education Exchange and our Oxford Hills Scholarship Foundation. So that is a mouthful right there. But I have been in this role now for 3 years after 2.5 decades in higher education. So made the transition just a couple of years ago, and feel very fortunate to be part of this community in Oxford Hills. We are, as I think many of our participants in today's conversation know, that the Oxford Hills School District, MSAD 17, is one of the largest school districts in the state of Maine. We are 8 sending towns that make up MSAD 17. We also cover 2 counties with Harrison and Cumberland and the remainder of our towns in Oxford County. With that said, I think the framework of my conversation today with you will be about how to build a robust scholarship foundation, and to talk about how we came to gather and create our Oxford Hills Scholarship Foundation, which I am very humbly proud to mention to everyone that this scholarship foundation for our students has an endowed funds of over $10 million, and last year for our graduating class of 2023 awarded over $1.1 million in scholarships to our students. So this is just an outstanding commitment from our community, and I can begin to scaffold and build that framework in the sense that about 10 years ago, and again, this is information that I have learned over the past couple of years, I think many people across the state of Maine are familiar with Bob and Sandy Bear, the people that the Oxford Hills Plains Speedway, the New Hampshire International Speedway, great philanthropists in our Oxford Hills community, and people that have been dedicated to advancing the lives of many people, both our students and just our community in general over many years. And Bob and Sandy came together with MSAD 17 over a decade ago to talk about how could we build more of a robust scholarship, create a foundation. Many of our towns, there were, as we all know, in our communities, different types of scholarships, a $500 scholarship, a memorial dedicated by one in remembrance of a family member, or a program, or some a community venture or effort of that nature. And an exploratory committee came together, again, under the charge of Bob and Sandy Bear and some other community members, Bancroft Contracting in our community as well, some other key players and businesses, came together to form this scholarship foundation directly with us in MSAD 17. And I have in the distance here a scholarship book that I'm not displaying correctly, but this book details over 40 pages of scholarships that our students are able to apply to. And how this scholarship foundation came together is that all within the 8 sending towns, with the Scholarship Foundation, we began to form this foundation that included all of our sending communities within the district. Let's put everything under one umbrella. Everything is administered through MSAT 17 and administered through our Office of Student Services. So working very closely with our superintendent's office, all of our students, we put together a rather large guide that I just referenced a second ago. And beginning in January of every year, our students are introduced to the opportunities that they have to apply to for scholarships. Some scholarships are relegated specifically to the town that they live in. Some are for students that have participated in particular programs within the Oxford Hills community, and even outside, depending upon the criteria, even outside if it's applicable. These scholarship programs are available to both post-secondary and postgraduate as well. So students that also have the opportunity that have graduated from the high school, they all and pursue graduate work. There are also some scholarships that are available to those students as well. So our scholarship committee comes together every spring after the deadline has passed, and we have some community members, some school members that are part of the selection committee for these scholarships. And with the $10 million of endowed funds, we are working off the interest every year to award to students for these scholarships. So with the market, we were able to award over that $1.1 million. Our students and I think our community members are just astounded by the opportunities that are available to our students. I think any of our school administrators that are part of this webinar today, I think we all share the let's get the interest from the students to participate in these scholarship programs. And that's something that I think here at the high school, we do a very good job of outreach. This is something that is sort of the vernacular, and this is just in the conversation here at the high school. All of these scholarship awards come in June at a special class and scholarship night. And we feel fortunate that over these many years that our scholarship foundation continues to grow And then many community partners. They do a lot of work with community partners within the Oxford Hills region, and that many continue to join every year to increase and raise aspirations for our students exponentially. So those are just some of the bullet points that I wanted to touch on with those participating today. We are in the process through some new college and career software that we're implementing here district-wide, beginning with our middle school and through grade 12. We're actually transitioning a lot of what we've been doing in paper with our scholarship notification and applications themselves to moving this electronically. So I will put a little call out there to our friends part of the webinar today. If any of you are using Naviance and Naviance with scholarships, I would love to hear from you to talk a little bit about that as well. So that's what I have to share with you today, and I'm definitely someone could always reach out to hear a little bit more about the framework if any of you in your communities are interested in maybe banding together to form more of a foundation for your community in putting robust scholarship opportunities together.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Vincent. Quite one of the things that I also think is really unique about what Oxford Hills community is doing too is like, so I was at a financial aid night, just the other night, wherein a student asked about a scholarship that they had received in like second grade through the community, and how would they access that fund, the funds that they had back in second grade. And I thought that was something really important and unique about the program, is that, reaching, down to those younger grades. So there's some of these young students qualifying for scholarships early on. So even as a first grader or a second grader, third grader, they see themselves as a college going student because they already have some money coming their way.
That is, thank you, Jess, for mentioning that. Yes, we had the opportunity to have you come to speak to our community actually a week ago today. So, we appreciate that every year. And the scholarships you're referencing are actually called the Aspire Higher scholarships. And our Aspire Higher scholarships are scholarship opportunities beginning with our elementary schools in the districts in the district. And those scholarships are awarded to our elementary school students, and we carry that information with us, and upon the student graduating senior year, in fact, I am blessed with the opportunity that I actually get to award those Aspire Higher scholarships to the students each year, and it's wonderful. I think it jogs the memory of some of our students as well. Oh yes, that's right, I had that opportunity from elementary school and I forgot about that. And these scholarships usually range in the amount of about $500 for our students as well. So again, the opportunities are a plethora for our students from the Aspire Higher, and then students having the opportunity to apply for the multiple other opportunities. I would also, if I can add in here for a second, I would say on average, most of our students are walking away from the class night of scholarships with a bare minimum of $4,000, which I think is phenomenal. Some students last year, $12,000, $15,000 in scholarships. What an incredible opportunity and place to start off positively in life as they pursue higher education or workforce development opportunities.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity for I think lots of high schools that have scholarship dollars to be able to kind of award those at their senior nights or their scholarship nights. And but we also know that there's a pretty huge discrepancy in some schools between the amount of money they have to give away and the very few number of students who apply for those funds. So Yeah, so I think outreach is a really big piece, making sure students are filling out those scholarship applications.
Often and early, I think, is the phrase that we like to use. So messaging is key through as many forums as possible. So for sure.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for talking to us about your programs. Now we are going to switch gears a little bit and start talking about some of your tips and tricks and answering some of the questions that we have for you. So first, again, we'll just kind of get back to the jobs and the roles that you have and learn just a little bit more about you. So I'm wondering, we'll start with Jackie. Can you talk about the most challenging part of your role in the scholarship program, either as the administrator or as a committee member? Like, what do you find most challenging for you?
There are for me the hardest part is saying no. We get lots of applicants. Everyone deserves support, everyone needs support. And so really the hardest part is having to say no. I find it extremely difficult, but also it has been really hard to really convince people to apply. And as you were saying, there was getting those students to fill out the applications really is difficult. And I always tell them, don't make the decision for the committee. Let them make the decision, right? Go ahead and fill out the application and let the committee decide. Don't make it for them by not filling out the application at all.
Yeah, no, I see that in some of the scholarship programs that I'm on as well, Jackie. Like, there's just not as many applicants as you would like, and you're willing to maybe look a little outside of the box that you've kind of of requirements that you've placed because you have a small number. And how many people have not put in those applications because they think I don't fit that box exactly.
Yeah, we have over 700 scholarships, and there are scholarships that we don't award because no one applied for it. And so even if it's a little, like you said, outside the box a little bit, the committee wants to give it away, wants to give that money away. So you could be the only applicant. You could get it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So don't make the decision for the committee.
Excellent. Thanks. And Vincent, how about you?
Similarly, I think that's a tune I think that many of us can resonate with, is that sometimes certain scholarships, not enough applicants for particular scholarship programs. I'll also add sort of another lane to this as well. Students also a sense of having the fortitude, the aspirations that, oh, I actually could be an applicant for that particular scholarship. They may meet the requirements, let's say it's relegated to the particular community that they grew up in or something of that nature. They may fit the academic criteria or the framework listed in the description, but realizing that I actually can apply for more than one. I could apply for a couple of scholarships. And, sometimes, do you think I would be a good applicant for that scholarship? So we're doing a lot of work here of that encouragement, sort of a lot of that, that self-worth, like, yes, you would be a great applicant for that. Don't know how many people will apply for that, but put your name in for that. Give it a best shot. And of course, like you can imagine with anything, dates and deadlines. So doing that follow-up as well, that is the date, that is the deadline. There will not be an extension of that date and deadline for that scholarship. So there's a lot of that encouragement as well. And I think that goes back to what I'm proud of here at the high school, is that we are rather robust, and maybe the students hear sort of the record spinning over and over, but these are the dates, these are the deadlines, and these are the scholarships. And I think particularly as we live through our pandemic years, and sort of we're now, I think finally with this 23-24 academic year, I'm seeing strong recovery. So I'm here today to very proudly say we're seeing that just an interest on a different level with college visitors and students attending sessions and different companies and corporations for our workforce development series that we're doing here. So we're seeing the student interest come back, and also with our families and engagement in the community, because we know that our parents and our caregivers are equally as important in this process as well. So
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. All right, so moving on, let's talk about when you're looking at your scholarships, what are you looking for in a scholarship applicant? And I know all of your scholarships are a little bit different, but when you're kind of, taking a look at somebody who makes a great scholarship applicant, what would that look like? Can we start with you, Vincent?
I think, of course, again, that was a good foundation, Jess. Really depends in particular on that scholarship, the particular criteria. But I would say that, and I'm thinking in my mind right now, I have sort of a template of some of our foundation scholarships, and just even looking at a book, students that making sure that the student really has read over that criteria closely, that we want to make sure that they've checked all of those boxes for sort of the rudimentary, the important parts of that they do qualify for that scholarship in particular. They're from a certain community, or if there is a GPA attached to it or something of that nature, that the students have followed that. But that the student is, again, really speaking to and speaking about their aspirations. How would this help them? What could they what are the dreams, the goals? Have there been any points of adversity that they've had to overcome, and how this would complement the direction that they want to move in? That is a basic foundation of many of these scholarship applications and whatnot. And of course, I think all of us would say also the mechanics that they've spent some time articulating and putting time into that application, that this is something that they're serious about and they would like to be afforded this opportunity if possible. So that's sort of a basic framework that we use.
Yeah, I love that. Share your dreams. Where are you going? Awesome. How about you, Jackie?
Yeah, I agree really with everything Jess said. We're really looking for planning. Like, you have an educational plan. Unfortunately, a scholarship might not completely cover the cost of your education. So what's your financial plan to cover that? And, you might have other challenges. You might have a job, you might have a family, you might have all kinds of other things. So what's your plan for that? We get some applications that, the scholarship is going to cover it. I'm not foreseeing any challenges. This is going to be so much fun. Like, we know that there are challenges and we know that you have to plan for them. And so we're just kind of looking for some kind of indication that an applicant has thought about those things. Even if they haven't solved it, at least they've thought about it. They know it's coming. So we really look for that kind of thing. And we look for completion of that. They're not leaving spaces blank. If we ask the question, you should answer it if it's on the application. And, like was said already, the eligibility part of it, making sure that you qualify for the scholarship that you're applying for.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, guys. What makes, and I think you guys have touched upon this one a little bit already in just what you were saying, but maybe this is like really what makes a memorable scholarship essay. And I will just say, in my time, there have certainly been a couple that stood way out. But in general, like, what makes that memorable scholarship, and then maybe an example of something that was especially riveting that you might have had the opportunity to review. Or we go with you, Jackie.
Okay. A memorable scholarship essay is personal. It is honest. And it acknowledges kind of where you are and where you want to be. So we have certainly had, especially in the adult learner scholarship, I mean, I think the committee always says, yep, this one made me cry. when we have especially adults who have really, they might have graduated from high school 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they're coming back to college and they're acknowledging that they have come a long way and a lot has happened. And this is where they are now. And this is where they want to be. And this is how this scholarship is going to help them get there. Those are the things that are really memorable. Those essays that say, hey, I want to go to school to go into nursing because I think it would be a good job for me. Like, I agree with you, but it's not memorable. And it's not really telling us, like, this is your chance to tell us about yourself. And it's competitive. So we really want to know. We know everybody has a story and we want to hear it.
Excellent. How about you, Vincent?
I similarly agree with Jackie, and would also say what makes a scholarship essay memorable is how the applicant articulates themselves, and how this scholarship opportunity would meet you where you are. Where are you? Where's the jumping off point? This opportunity, I've experienced these components, these either triumphs or challenges in life. And again, what is that hopefully positive trajectory? It was sort of wanting to hear and see throughout this essay that, yes, I've had some adversity, I've had some of these challenges, but this next opportunity, my goals, aspiration, dreams, will hopefully lead in this direction. And maybe there is a poignant story, a eureka, or a reason why, using nursing as an example, I want to go into that field. I want to go into that profession. Maybe there was something in life that inspired that, something of that nature. So I think that those are also some nice points of difference, as I like to say, that could help make a scholarship essay memorable.
That can call those out. And I will say, and those are wonderful things that really that leave you with a very positive scholarship or reading experience. Because I know if you are looking at a scholarship where you're reading a number of scholarships at one time, applicants, it's nice to have something that stands out. But you want to make sure they also stand out for the right reasons. I do recall reading a scholarship essay one time where they had not checked their spelling enough or well enough, or and in the very first paragraph there was a very innocent word that had been misspelled and not caught by the spell check or by anyone else proofreading, and it definitely changed what I was reading right away. And so just making sure you have someone check over your essays before you turn them in, right? So everything looks good.
We're also in most of our scholarships this year allowing students to make a choice between submitting an essay and submitting a video, so that they kind of play to their own strengths. Like, if writing an essay is not your strength, I got you covered. You can submit a video instead, because if your creativity and strengths lie in that, you can submit that instead. And this is the first year we're doing it, so I'm really excited to see the results.
I love that. How many students today, I mean, even my senior daughter, making TikToks every time they turn around?
Yeah. Yeah, we were kind of trying to give them that opportunity to kind of show off if they want to.
That's great. I love that. Excellent. All right. Okay, moving on. We have a few more questions from me, and then we'll take some questions from our audience. What mistakes do you wish applicants would work harder to avoid? Vincent, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I think just to piggyback on that last comment that everyone was chiming in for is, please spend that extra 5-10 minutes and reread that essay over, hopefully for the first, second, or maybe third time. Just review it another time. The punctuation, the spelling, have another set of eyes on that essay. I think that that's important. Whether that be a trusted family member, a parent, a caregiver, a teacher, one of us as counselors, something of that nature. but just another set of eyes to review. And I think there could be some good feedback given. And also the other mistakes, something that I alluded to earlier, please pay attention to those dates and deadlines. So that I cannot reinforce that enough. So those would be the two that resonate most strongly with me.
How about you, Jackie?
Yeah, the spelling, the editing is a big thing. Also skipping questions and forgetting to go back and answer those questions. Like, it's okay if you don't know the answer, but make sure you go back and answer them. Also the really looking, like, the deadlines is looking at, we can see when you submitted for a letter of recommendation. And so if the deadline is like November 15th and you asked somebody to give you a recommendation on November 14th, like, you don't give them any time to do that. And so really looking at that, going into that application and seeing what materials you have to gather and giving yourself enough time to do it. So starting right at the, on the last day, I really wish people would give themselves some more time to complete the application, to understand what is required for that specific application.
Yeah, I think planning can play such a big role in that. So you guys both mentioned that earlier, like, what is their plan? But this is part of the plan. Is the scholarship process can be big. There are again millions of dollars out there for students to take advantage of, and spending a little bit of time building this process, planning ahead, can really help them out.
Yeah, we tell students when we're going into schools, and if anybody on the webinar wants us to come and do a scholarship workshop, we have outreach interns. So I'm going to plug that a little bit right now. Please contact us. But some students just don't know what they need for the scholarship application, and then they lose stuff, right? They have an email that they get 500 junk messages a day. And so we tell them, email addresses are free. So start an email address, an email account that says, JackieCollege@gmail.com, and only use that to apply for scholarships, and only use that to go for your college information. So none of that information gets lost, right? It's right there. It's all in that same email account. I'm going to send you renewal reminders. I'm going to send you deadline reminders. And if that gets lost in your email, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't extend a deadline because it went to your junk mail.
Jackie, I high five you on that comment about making sure that we have an active secondary email besides the students' primary school email. That has been an eye opener for many of us this year. And maybe it's great that the message is getting out there earlier for some students, maybe, but we've had some sort of eye-opening eureka moments, particularly in college visits and FAFSA, as Jess knows from last week, that this school email account is going to end after graduation.
I had a student sign up with a fake email, and they said, well, I didn't want to get any spam. I didn't want you to send me anything. I said, I'm not going to send you anything except renewal reminders. So and that school email, they shut it down. You're not a student there anymore. So
I interestingly, sort of an aside, one of those laugh moments, serious but yet helping transition students during a college visit about a month ago. We have a student who quite regularly comes to different visits. The admission officer actually, I was proud that admission officer mentioned that we highly recommend that when applying that you use a non-school email account, and the student, but I've been using my school email account since second grade. I don't know. I used that for everything. She was devastated that I said, well, there was a long weekend coming up. I said, well, you have another to-do item on your list for this weekend to start the process. So she has reported back that she thinks she's about 20% there. So anyways, she's making progress.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, moving along so that we got about 10 minutes left. What is the best scholarship advice you would offer to a scholarship applicant? Why don't you go for it, Jackie?
I would say like use your support system, use your mom, use your dad, use your best friend, use a teacher, and have them look at your scholarship application and help you with it. I can't help you. So I can help you with eligibility, but I can't help you fill out the application. So use the people around you, even if it's, you know, aunt, uncle, whoever you have that you can say, hey, could you just read this for me and make sure it makes sense? Does this say what I think it says? And just that extra look will really help you catch some things that maybe you should have said differently or that you want to say differently, or maybe you forgot something. And that extra look, that extra pair of eyes.
You know, don't feel like you have to do this all by yourself. And I think
Never.
students feel overwhelmed when they think I have to do all this by myself. And this is a great place where I'll say to parents, like, if you want to take a role in this process, you know, the college application is really the kids thing. And even we say the FAFSA is for the kids. The parents, you can find these scholarships for your students and send them along and bug
Yeah.
them and nag them and all of those things. It's a great opportunity, a great place for you to shine.
Yeah, and get organized. I had a kid last year who was a graduating senior, and he called me about some award questions or schedule questions, and I asked him about what else he received. He said, hold on, let me open up my spreadsheet. And I wanted to reach through that phone and give him a hug. I mean, he like, get organized. You put the name of the scholarship, whether like what you need to complete the application and the deadline, and you can set it to give you an alert, you know, put it on your calendar. It's due tomorrow. It's due next week. Just get organized.
Yeah, that's great. How about you, Vincent? Yeah.
I think one of the pieces that I would add to that, and again, wonderfully said, look both near and far. So I think for scholarship opportunities, again, in Oxford Hills, we are robust with opportunities through our foundation and what we award students every year. But there's more beyond the Oxford Hills region as well. There's other opportunities that are out there. And I know that our counseling team, we try to provide other links. FAME does a wonderful job, of course, with resources, and we're very appreciative of that. And many of our other foundations in Maine as well, with Jackie and others. There are many opportunities that are available. And I think sometimes in Maine, and maybe our participants would agree with this, um, uh, as we all know, we're a geographically large state, but we're a small community. And many of us are really trying to do our best with outreach to students. But sometimes we're not aware of what each other is doing, sort of what opportunities that are available. And that's something during my many years in the state of Maine, I'm like, oh, that's a wonderful opportunity, scholarship opportunities or programming opportunities. They didn't realize that there was something similar 25 miles away or 30 miles away. And like being able to expand that outreach and resources for students. So again, it's not start within your community, but expand those walls out a little bit as well. And then so many of our students are involved in different organizations. Here we're a comprehensive high school, so our technical school is we're together. We're in on one campus. So we have many students that participate in organizations like DECA and things of that nature. There are a myriad of scholarship opportunities on national levels for students that are involved in those organizations. So again, it's more about repeating that outreach. So.
Yeah, great. We just had a question come in that I do want to mention that I think, because I think it's a really good one, and I want to make sure we get it in before we finish up. So somebody was asking about, you know, students using AI assistants such as Chat GPT. So sometimes some essays are a little bit more similar to each other. And, you know, this idea that they're really recommending that students put it in their own voice. So have you guys had to deal with that or thought about how you will deal with those kinds of things moving forward?
Uh, it's certainly something we're thinking about, and it is not something we have had to deal with yet. Um, but it is certainly something that committees are worried about. Yeah, that is the best answer I have. It is on our minds for sure. We're not exactly sure what the response is going to be. I I think for the most part, our scholarship programs are small enough that, each scholarship might get, we have some scholarships that get a little bit less of a applicant pool. And so I think that a lot of the committees know the kids. And so that kind of conversation comes into it, and it's less based on exactly the mechanics of their essay and more of like, the personal aspect.
Right.
Similarly, that's a topic that's been resonating with us as well. And in fact, you can imagine through the current, as we speak, college application season right now, and with essays and whatnot. And I I will say for Oxford Hills, I just thinking systemically about how our selection committee is organized, the people on the committee. Uh, we are familiar mostly with the voice of our students. So I think that as if an essay were to come in from a particular applicant, and either myself or the myriad of other members working with different types of applicants, um, hopefully we'll be able to recognize some of that, but that's not a guarantee, of course, So I think it's just being cognizant of it. I think it's just being aware. And I think that's something that we just know that nationally, colleges, universities, and now high schools and are now grappling with these new turn of events and opportunities. So we'll see where we go from there. So short answer is no, we have not had to face that in the to this point, but for sure it's coming down the road, and it's something that at least I feel as a committee, it's part of our group conversations.
I think that the video idea could be a great way here where you get a little bit more genuine response for sure, right? Because I think it's, well, that's not entirely true because they could do an AI that, but that's a little bit harder to do, I'm assuming. All right. Another question from somebody is, what are the different ways that you get the word out about your scholarships besides inside the high schools, inside the schools? And then also, how do adult learners find about scholarships that they might qualify in? And Vincent, for the Oxford Hills, can you be a graduate that's been out of school for a while and still apply for them there as well?
Yes, we do have a select number that are available to members of the community for people that have been out for a while but have been connected to MSAD 17. That is facilitated through our Oxford Hills Adult Education Program as well. Yes.
So how about for both of you, how are you getting the word out? Is there anything besides just communicating, through PA announcements at school? What else are you doing to make sure students have the information?
Yeah, so like I kind of touched on earlier, we do have an intern program this year. They've already started. They started at the end of October or right around there, who are just calling everybody they can think of. So we're doing awareness events at all the schools that want us to come, and it can just be a simple awareness event, or it can be like hands-on workshops, like how can we help your kids apply for these scholarships. But they're also contacting YMCAs and Main Street organizations in those towns, and youth organizations, and immigrant organizations. Like, we're really contacting everyone we can think of, and I know we're missing people. So if anybody on this webinar is like, you forgot us, please tell me. And really just doing those outreaches events as much as we possibly can. So I have 3 interns that's all they are doing is outreach. That's all
great.
they're doing is traveling. So like I said, if we have forgotten you, please tell me, and we would love to come out there.
We really have approached this, and I would say in a more robust way beginning last year, with touching upon every form of communication, whether that's virtual / electronic, print, whatever form it possibly can be. So we all know that we have people that we all have our preference forms of communication and media and whatnot. So, but we also realize who are the stakeholders we're trying to reach out to. So it's not just the students, but it's also the family members, it's the caregivers and all of us. So what form of media do they respond to? So if it is the print, if it is the electronic messaging, using our Twitter, using our Facebook for in this case, the class of 2024 now, which we quickly realized that not so much the students that are reading the Facebook, it's their parents. So we realized that getting the word out through those forums, we have many parent members that are part of the class of, the particular classes and whatnot. Also, something that Jackie said was wonderful a second ago, getting the word out in different youth affiliated organizations in the communities, other business partners and things that, so again, the print of the electronic, and really diving into that as best as possible. And even on our electronic sign, I call our ticker on the outside of on Route 26 here in South Paris, making sure we're advertising there as well. There's a traffic light there where you often sit for quite a few minutes sometimes, so you never know who's reading that sign. So just getting the word out there in any form possible. So
Wonderful. All right, so we do have a few other questions, but we are out of time. So I am going to I'll let people know what they are, and we'll add them to the email response that everybody's going to get. But I want to just take a moment to thank Jackie and Vincent for being here today, joining us for this webinar. I think that scholarships are certainly an important way that students are helping cover those college costs, and having resources like yours is a super valuable experience. And then for our school counselors and access folks, being able to learn from your experiences has been wonderful today. So thank you guys so much for joining. And folks, if you have any questions about scholarship, certainly you can check out any of the websites. So in the follow-up email, we'll make sure all of the contact information is there so that you can ask questions and get that information out. Next month in December, we will have a webinar. Our hope is that the webinar will be a walkthrough of the new FAFSA application, but we still don't have a date, so it might not be. So stay tuned for what that December workshop will be. But again, I just want to thank everybody so very much for joining us today. And I hope that that this has been valuable for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oops. Let's stop the recording before I forget.